Okay, I've done this in quite a few of the schools before, where we look at Arctic animals. So it's a nice little topic one, and it's very, very easy to do. And I think they look really quite impressive for what's involved. Takes maybe 20 minutes, something like that, when you know what you're doing. So that's a finished one. As I say, only takes a few minutes to do. It's not. It looks better than the amount of effort that goes into it. So I've sketched one out really quickly. There's another polar bear for you. Works for seals as well. I can look at doing a seal later maybe, but let's focus on this one for now. I'm not going to do the whole thing because it takes, when I'm demonstrating, it takes quite a lot of footage up, but I can do it in little bits and I'll show you how we get on. So I've shown you how to draw a polar bear's face. Just do the same thing, except this time I'm going to use some chalk and some black paper. With the chalk, you've got to spend a few minutes. If you need to use a little scrap or something, make sure you've got a nice sort of pointed area to work with, and make sure that you're comfortable that when you put the chalk down, you know where that point's going to be, because sometimes you start drawing and because of where the point is, it's just slightly off. So spend a few seconds just getting it right and be comfortable with it. Draw it all out really light. One of the keys to this is that when you start putting the fur on, when you start colouring it in, and just like the other lessons, this is one where when you're colouring, it's got two jobs. The colour is putting on the colour and it's also putting in the texture. It's light, gentle lines. So lots of, in fact, what I'll do is I'll do a bad version over here. Lots of this. And again, just like the other lessons, it's radiating out. So all those fur lines, you've got to look really closely. The best thing you can do is have a picture in front of you, a photograph, and the fur is going to be built up gradually. The longer bits of fur, the longer strokes. The shorter bits of fur, I've got the shorter strokes. When you're going over the nose, you don't want the big strokes, you want it to look really quite short. So the way to do that is just to bring it over and down. If you were to do that in one single line, you would lose the effect you're looking for. So I'm going to spend just a few minutes without chatting too much. Just watch what I'm doing, and yeah, hopefully you can see what I'm aiming for. Some of the areas you don't need to worry about the texture to begin with. We're just making it nice and white, and then we can add the texture in afterwards. One thing I will say is don't oversaturate your paper. By that I mean if you get to a certain amount, so there we go. If you go like this, and there's your chalk, if I go over the top of it now, you can't really see any new lines. It's got to be done in such a faint way that then when I put my lines on afterwards, I can still get the texture. So you've got to be careful. On the ears, I don't need to worry about the texture too much, but I know that because again I've been looking closely at my pictures. I'll probably just do the half properly, just to demonstrate, because otherwise 20 minutes is too long for a video. And because I'm taking only a short amount of time, really you should be doing a much better job than I am. Hopefully what you can see is that I'm doing some areas a little bit lighter, some areas a little bit darker. It's not just a solid white. If it's just a solid white, it doesn't work. You lose all that texture, all the elements that make it look like a polar bear. I'm really catching the light here. Fur around the eyes. and it's near black where the mouth is. Adding that in with my liquid charcoal in a moment. Can you see it's quite liney? That's fine to begin with, but then you've got to blend those bits in. So when I go like that, start to fade some of those lines out now. And it's just about building it up. Basically, you're just drawing on hairs and adding that texture. Can you see there's that line difference there under the eye? You can see the bit over the eye because I'm taking my time and I'm drawing them in as separate elements. I want a slightly brighter bit here on the top of the muzzle, so you can see that slightly brighter. Right. I'm going to add in a few darker elements as well now. So my little bit of charcoal, the nose, something under here. The nose, I'm going to keep that nice and black. And it dips in just a little bit. I'm losing the pointy bit, so sharpen up again. Just a bit of a point, bring it in. And to make your black look even blacker, just put a little bit of white around the edge of it and it just makes it pop out. But don't then leave the white all by itself. It's got to fade a little bit, just a little bit. There we go. Smoosh that into place. Bring that down. And it goes into the mouth, which is just that really. Nice and simple. The area around the muzzle is actually, it's a grey rather than a black. So we're going to just fade a little bit in. Not too much. Can you see I'm pressing down? I'm not doing that. I'm doing this. So it's a very, very soft grey. And if I've got too much, I can just fade those lines back in because I've not oversaturated. If you oversaturate, if you get it like that, you can't really do too much to fix it. So just do 2 or 3 soft lines rather than one heavy line. And that's one of the key skills with this. Some extra lines in. And there's a slight, what do you call it, a cheek line or something that we can put in. Just make it a little bit darker. Again, see how soft these lines are. You could even just leave a little gap, but it's easier just to apply it back in at a later date, I think. And again, symmetry is key to this. If you've got a line here, you want the one on the opposite side to match. You don't want a soft line and then a harsh line because it would just spoil your work. Inside of the ears, quite dark, not truly black. So get the black in first, and now we're going to soften that right up. There we go. And the ears themselves are a little bit darker, so I'm using the charcoal, giving that texture in, just to soften things up a little. See how I'm doing for time. Oh, right, I'm at 10 minutes already, so I think I'll stop it here and I'll do a few more minutes in the second video.